Ladies and gentlemen, heroes, villains, critics the world over, welcome to another episode of B Review, where I'm coming at you once again with a retro review. That's right, I went back to the past and picked another movie that I wanted to see if it held up. Now, I have decided, at least for the most part, I think retro review should be anything that's going to be 5 years old or older. And, that way the studios have enough time to decide if they're going to make a sequel, and then if it holds up to the sequel, and if after the hype dies down, it holds up. I think that to me, that feels like the good magic number. And the movie that I went ahead and watched and I'm coming at you with a review for today is actually The Conjuring 2. Yes, I am continuing down the Conjuring cinematic universe. And reviewing these movies for you. Last time I reviewed Annabelle, and it's no secret, no surprise, I did not like that movie. That movie was terrible. Did not enjoy that movie. So I'm not going to lie, I hadn't seen The Conjuring 2. With how bad Annabelle was, I was a little hesitant, a little skeptical to come back and watch this movie. However, I went ahead and did it, especially because I wanted to watch Conjuring 3 and I wanted to know what I was getting into. And James Wan was back to helm this film, who, of course, directed the first one. James Wan is an incredible director. I talked about that last time. He is probably the best horror director in the business right now, and he's just doing an incredible job. So back to his masterful work. So let's start breaking this down a little bit and talk about some of the good in this movie. And there is a lot of good to say about this movie. First of all, James Wan does a masterful job behind the camera. The way he sets up a shot, the way he gets everything to look and feel, it's incredible. It pulls you in just from the picture alone. And I did talk about that a little bit with the Annabelle movie. This is far more successful. The way that the shot is crafted, the way that the camera moves, the way that the angles, everything about it is good. So the cinematography is phenomenal. James Wan's direction with this was incredible. On top of that, unlike with Annabelle, where the characters are one note and a pain in the butt, and you don't buy anything, and you just struggle and you just kind of hate everyone. This movie has really good characters, and in a very community-driven way. A lot of horror movies tend to overly rely on, especially with ghosts and possession and paranormal kind of stuff, right? If a guest is over for dinner, suddenly nothing creepy is happening. It's like the ghosts are shy, the demons are shy. That's not an issue in this movie, and I actually really appreciated that because I did expect it to go that route, but it didn't. It was very, very well done, and I actually really appreciated it. I think by doing that, it actually allowed it to have that community feel, which I said earlier, so that everyone is trying to, everyone in this little local area is trying to figure out what's going on, and everyone is drawn to this poor family that's suffering through these events. And let me tell you, the actors all did a phenomenal job. And I think a lot of that is due to James Wan, and a lot of that is due to the actors' talent. But like I said with Annabelle, that director could not pull the talent out of these actors. James Wan pulls the talent out. Once again, this movie stars Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, who both do an incredible job. Their chemistry on screen together is just incredible, just as it was in the first movie. And the marriage dynamic that they have there really kind of cuts deep. Whether you're Christian or not, just the way that they play that in finding a person that you can trust and go through life with was really touching, and I actually really, really enjoyed that. But let's also not forget to talk about Madison Wolfe. Holy cow, child actor, and too many of them are not watchable. She killed it. She does an incredible job acting in this movie. So all of the acting, all the actors, everything about it is on point. I loved it. The movie is terrifying. It's very scary. It's not perfect. It is very scary. The actors, like I said, the characters, they're believable. It pulls you in. It keeps you in. It looks stunning. The tension that James Wan is able to build throughout this whole thing is incredible. So just like the first movie, it's on point. I don't think it's as good as the first movie. However, after watching this, I am gonna go back and watch the first movie again, just because I want to know if that one holds up now. And so I'll do another retro review for that one eventually. But for right now, this one, like I said, this movie's not perfect. So let's talk about some of the things that did kind of bother me a little bit about this movie. So let's talk about some of the bad. There's not a whole lot of bad in this movie. I think it is really well done. However, there are a couple things that bothered me, and like I said, one of the points of these B reviews is how does it hold up after the fact? So this movie was made, and then they turn around and they made The Nun. So I'm watching this after The Nun has come out. So it's still a part of this big cinematic universe, and I'm thinking to myself, how does this hold up? Because there is a big presence of that creature, demon character, whatever, and there are aspects to it. I think the demon's fine for this movie. But I think, there's definitely some moments watching this where you're like, I remember how you set up Annabelle for a spin-off series. I can clearly tell you're doing that with her. Now, I'm not sure if it was quite as intentional with The Nun, to spawn a spin-off series, if you will. But again, watching it after the fact, after the hype, does it hold up? It feels like, yeah, we're going to try that again. We're going to see if we can do that again, hopefully a little bit better this time, a little bit better results. So that, to me, was just a little annoying. Like I said, I don't think the character's bad. It does keep... It's not like Annabelle where it's like the doll is a subplot to just kind of distract you. The nun is present. She's a character, or it's a character, whatever, of the movie. So it is a little bit different. But still, you can kind of tell. That being said, the movie is really good. Like I said, it's not perfect. Let's just talk for a second about the ugly, if there is anything ugly about it. As far as ugly, there's not much I can say. If you've seen the first one, if you watch lots of these types of movies, it is a little predictable. Things are going to happen, and depending on the setting that you're watching it in, if you set the mood, I wouldn't be too worried. But if you're casually watching it, it's really not that scary. If you, like I said, if you set the mood, you turn the lights off, get your popcorn, get the sound right, it's going to pull you in. But if you're casually watching it, there are some moments where you'll kind of chuckle a little bit, and some moments where you're like, I kind of saw that coming. Again, there's a lot that they do that avoids cliches, and I going back to the good, I especially love how there's no like cheap jump scares, none of that fake stuff where it's like crash. Oh, that was just someone knocked a lid over, or whatever. Like the jump scares are legitimate, but yeah, as far as ugly goes, like, there are some predictable moments that you will expect, and it doesn't quite feel as horrifying as the first one. The first one, there were moments that happened that I gasped. Like I just, had to catch my breath. I didn't get that from this one. I was scared. I had a great time watching it. I think it was good. I just don't think it was quite as good. I think they could have, I don't know that that there's a whole lot that I can really say, like, to fix it, other than, I guess the other thing, kind of in the ugly section, is that there is something that happens, a premonition, if you will, that does not hold up well, especially now that there is a sequel to this movie. This premonition, it no longer has the gravitas, the intensity behind it. And I think that's really that's probably why I felt it was a little more predictable. And so how does this movie hold up today? I think it's scary. I think if you're coming at this, if you've only seen the first one, you don't know much about the franchise, I think this is a good follow-up, a good sequel. But I don't think it's going to hold up if you know that there's more movies after, for one. That's going to kind of hurt it a little bit. But otherwise, I think it's scary. I think it's actually a really good movie. I think it's masterfully done. I think that the biggest fault really is just the fact that there are some things that just don't quite hold up now that we have sequels and spin-offs and everything else. And I think that's my biggest gripe with it. So what do you know? How about out of Ghosts this time? I'm actually going to put this one pretty up there. I'm going to give this one 4 out of 5 ghosts. I thought it was great. Go watch it, guys. And you know what? For retro reviews, I want to kind of put this ball in your court just a little bit. So if there is a movie that you would like my thoughts on, Brian's thoughts on, or what have you, hit us up. Let us know in the comments. Hit us up on any of our social medias. And, we'll do our best, depending on how many requests we get, to get around to as many of those as we can. We want to put that in your court and, challenge us. Give us some good ones, some bad ones, and we'll see what we can do for you. It'll be a lot of fun. Anyways, you can hit us up on our social medias, facebook.com/BeHeroMedia, instagram.com/BeHeroMedia, on Twitter at BeHeroMedia, or BeHeroFights is our podcast Twitter handle. And then, of course, everything is always on BeHeroMedia.com. Thanks, as always, for watching, guys. We love you. Smash that like button, that subscribe button, and share. It goes a long way for us, and it costs you nothing. But regardless, we're happy that you watched. We appreciate you. And as always, be critical, but mostly enjoy the movies.